Welcome to Surviving the Side Hustle, the podcast for high performers who've gone all in, but still feeling a little stuck. I'm your host, Rob Tracy, coach, speaker, and creator of the Prime Performance Process. If you're a solopreneur, small business owner, or just launched your side hustle and you're tired of grinding with no momentum, this is for you. Every week, we bring you guests that have broke the code, generated momentum, and finally got unstuck. And we're diving into their stories, their struggles, and their secrets to generating massive momentum in both their personal and professional lives. We don't do fluff here. We do frameworks, real talk, and share the kind of insights that get you unstuck for good. Welcome, and let's get rolling. But before we dive in, I gotta remind you, if you're overwhelmed, spinning your wheels, or just tired of hustling without the results, it's time for a Prime Performance Strategy session. In this free call, we'll zoom out on your life and business, identify the real reason you're feeling stuck, and build a game plan to help you reclaim your confidence, energy, and gain some clarity so you can get back to doing what you set out to do. Lead, grow, and thrive. This isn't surface level coaching. It's a system built on resilience, intentionality, clarity, and alignment. So head over to survivingthesidehustle.com/free call to grab your spot today. Again, that's survivingthesidehustle.com/free call. Let's get going and help you look good, feel good, and do great things. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Surviving the Side Hustle. I'm super excited because we've got another returning guest today. And today we've got on Chef Ben LaRose. Chef Ben, man, it's incredible to kind of bring you back here because I was looking through the archives of the episodes. And the first time you were on, it was episode number 27. And that was released on, do you know when?
It was in September or November of 2023, wasn't it?
Yeah, it came out on December 27th, 2023. And
Close.
it is one of the most downloaded episodes that we have. So very popular. And the last time that you were on, you kind of gave us a behind the curtain scene of the culinary world and the grind of building the side hustle while working full time as a chef. Just for those who might not have checked out that first episode, make sure you do go back and check it out, episode 27. And if you don't know who Ben is the founder of Fork and Delicious, which is a brand that started as a meal prep and has grown into private events and a chef's table style catering experience. In that first conversation that we had, Ben was sharing on how he basically built his way up from dishwasher to chef over like 15 years and why leadership and coaching people in the kitchen became just as important to himself as like cooking himself. He shared a little bit about the vision behind Fork and Delicious and some of the challenges of balancing the demands of the chef career itself, balancing a new business and a personal life. And we've wrapped up that episode by you sharing some advice, and your advice that time was to don't sleep on the hustle. And you shared that there's always time and opportunity if you're willing to put in the effort without burning out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a great conversation. I'm excited to kind of dive into this one. So again, Ben, welcome to the show, and I'm excited to kind of hear what you're up to, man. So how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me back. Same thing, but the hustle's grown for sure. We've gone from that meal prep like we were talking about and small events to influencer dinners, pop-ups, restaurant takeovers, consulting, dinners at people's houses, literally an array of things. We've actually gotten to a point where now Fork and Delicious is now just a signature catering experience. And we kind of built, I don't want to use the word rebrand, but separated entities almost. All of it falls under Fork and Delicious, obviously, but Chef Benjamin LaRose now is the focus for the consulting and the fine dining aspects of restaurant takeovers and or the chef's tables experiences. Now, Fork and Delicious kind of has its own entity where it kind of branches off to larger scale catering operations.
So. Interesting. So it sounds like a lot of evolution and a lot of changes and things kind of growing and moving. Since the last time we kind of chatted, what would you say for yourself or your brand is the biggest win or the proudest moment for what you've got going on?
I mean, one of the biggest wins is obviously having the people around me that I have. You know, they've been extremely helpful. A lot of them donate time when we're doing the donation events because obviously we're not making money. So I do a lot of those right now. I've done about six in the past 4 months, mainly just because I like to give back. I like to be part of something. But having my team being able to donate their time too, because nobody wants to work for free. But when people really get behind what you're doing and understand the vision and what we represent as a culture, people are willing to do leaps and bounds to help out a brand like that. And, without my team or the people that have been helping me or behind me in every aspect of this, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Yeah, it's interesting that you kind of bring that up there because as I was looking through some of my notes from the first time we kind of talked, you were mentioned a whole bunch about how demanding and challenging it can be at sometimes by handling everything solo. So
Hmm.
how have you managed to kind of handle that through? And I hear you talking about a team. I know when I was at that one dinner that you were hosting, that you had like a full team of people there.
Hmm.
So is everybody working with you for all the events? Is it what does that kind of look like for you?
So I have 1099 servers who are around most of the time. I have a social media um, I don't know exactly what you would call coordinator, essentially, who's that girl, Sammy Harris, that was at our thing. Without her, Fork and Delicious would be nowhere near where it is. We have a girl named Autumn who kind of does more of like the client relation stuff. Adam Borho, who's part of everything, Adam. He's
Mhm.
been an intricate part in things, growing until where we're at now. Adam's got his own thing, so he still uses us as a brand. Um, and my kitchen staff. I mean, Matt Bossy, we call him Instagramless Matt because we can't tag him anything, but you'll see him at everything because he's basically my right hand in the kitchen. I trust that kid with my life, my event, everything. Um, we recently brought on this girl, Chris Snyder, who has her own private chef catering, which we're kind of collaborating. But she donates her time. We give her stuff. If I pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry, Chris, but her thing is Le Coq private dining. So I might have butchered that. I don't speak French. So, and then, Tim Bellantoni, everybody knows Tim. He's been an intricate part of like the Greenwich culinary scene and or bar scene. He did a lot of bar programs. And then this kid, Jose, who has been in and out of most of my events, as like a line guy and has been a pivotal part. He was huge in that, influencer dinner that I did that you guys came to.
Yeah.
So that's like my core group. Then of course there's the extra people. Like, I have three servers that do more than enough. This girl Bethany, this girl Natalie, and then the random people that love to come in and help out. And they really see what we bring as a team. We're not just going in there catering, knocking out food with meaningless stuff. We're coming in with the idea and the precision and the want to create an experience that they'll never forget.
Mm. And I gotta ask you because I know when I first started transitioning out of strength and conditioning and I was trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do, I was constantly going in and out of different like coaching programs and things to kind of to get the ball rolling. And it was difficult finding a good mentor and a good coach that would actually lead me and guide me and help me figure out what it was that I wanted to do. And it sounds like you're kind of that role model figure, being the chef and everything. And so I got to ask, like, how did you find flipping it around? How did you find all these people? Have you just worked with them for a long time? Is it, have you like worked with some and then lost some people and picked them back up? Like, how did you put together this team?
So the team that I have now or currently, kind of found their way into it. They're people that I trust to do their job where I don't have to feel like I have to be on top of people. And for me, being able to trust somebody to do their job is huge because, being pulled in 100 different directions, it being my side hustle for now, which may not be for long, actually, may actually be becoming my full thing within the next couple of months, hopefully, fingers crossed. But being able to trust people to do their jobs without having to badger them or be on top of them and or basically micromanage. I don't like to micromanage. If I have an idea, I put it on the paper or in a text message to somebody. If they can create something with it, then that's amazing. you know um but mostly it's people I trust. you know if if I'm not doing events with certain people anymore, it's because I don't trust them to be doing their job. And that's just, I mean, that's the hard truth about being in the industry and or running a business. If, I'm not going to keep somebody around that I can't have them just lollygagging and not doing what they need to do.
Yeah. I don't remember where I heard it, but, somebody somewhere along the line, somebody had told me that, trust is so unique because it takes so long to earn and you can lose it so quickly. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. It takes, I mean, I'll put it this way. I, in Adam's podcast, I mentioned I trust people as far as I can throw them, and I still don't trust people. The fact that these people that I have on my side working for me, or not for me, because I don't consider anybody working for me, I consider everybody working with me. Nobody's better than anyone, knows nobody's greater or higher position. But it comes down to trusting that jobs get done. And in order to do that, you can't have somebody who's not invested in the brand, and Fork and Delicious as it is has a great background. We love to give back. We love to be part of it, and we're happy to donate whenever we can. And people see what this is and what I bring to the table, and then if they're willing to back me to the fullest extent, like for example, Sammy, my social media coordinator, she essentially posts reels, whatever, all that good stuff, but she doesn't ask for a dime. I pay her, but she does this out of the kindness of her heart because she believes in it. And that to me is huge because if you believe in me, I believe in you, you know? And I'm a big, firm believer on, you got my back, I got yours, and that's a trust thing, and it's a mutual respect as well.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and so I see like you got a great team around you. You're constantly doing new events. You got dinners and things going on. Where do you see? Because you said you just a minute ago you said that you're considering it becoming like the full time thing. What does the vision of that look like to you?
Oh, well, if we're talking full dream or we're talking about just enough to get by, um, I ideally am booking enough almost to be able to do it full time. But the problem is the time factor. Balancing my day to day job while doing this is not easy. I'm up on, if I have an event on Saturday, I'm booking on a Thursday. I'm prepping on a Thursday night, overnight, Friday overnight, Saturday we're executing, Sunday we're cleaning up, and Monday I'm back to the grind again while I'm working on Monday through Sunday, a Sunday through Friday job. So it it does have its burnout points, but the success point was, and my future in this is, I would love a standalone restaurant, obviously, where I could do the catering out back and have a line up front. But also, I am in the works to doing a food truck concept, and then that would be built off with two other food trucks coming off of that. So I could end up essentially would be three food trucks in the long run with a standalone restaurant with catering operations as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for that. That'd be pretty sweet
Hmm.
to see some of the food trucks around because I love going to all the different events around Stanford, at least specifically with all the food trucks all the time, and it's a great thing to be doing.
It's one of those things that people just like the experience. And one of the ideas I have with one of the food trucks, and I'm going to say it on here, so everybody wants to steal it, be my guest, because you can't. If you can do it like I can, then good for you. But a food truck that does pop up fine dining experiences. So of maybe like a seasonal dinner where you have a food truck pulls up, sets up this picnic tables and or tables with beautiful chairs and white linens, and you're cooking out of a food truck, but you're bringing that 5-star experience where people are like, I can't believe this came out of a food truck. So redefine food truck, essentially.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Thank you for sharing that. That's cool. If that's one of your visions, I'm excited to see that. That'd be really awesome.
Hopefully it all plays out. It takes time. Everything takes time and patience and acceptance.
Yeah. Well, so in order to get there, what do you feel is kind of like the biggest bottlenecks right now with your business? Is it that kind of tug of war between the job and lack of time, or is it something else that's kind of slowing you down here?
I think the biggest thing is lack of time, but also, it takes a certain kind of mindset to make the jump from a day to day where you have a constant paycheck where you don't know if it's going to work out. And that really comes down to the fear of failure. You know, Granted, I don't think I'll fail, but there's always that little thing in the back of your head that always says, what if you do? What if you do? What if you do? I mean, the brand speaks for itself. The food speaks for itself. It really just comes down to having the time and also, I mean, financials. You know, it's very expensive to launch a food truck. It's very expensive to launch a restaurant. It comes down to that. And right now, I'm talking to multiple different people about ways to get income and or finances, or even a silent investor. You know, angel investor, whatever you want to call it. But um, I'm looking into all those possibilities, and, right now they're all conversations, but in due time, when it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And that's kind of where I am. I'm not going to force anything to happen because that's where you set yourself up. If you push, 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 there's a difference between hustle and push in my mind. The hustle is the day to day, what you need to get done to get stuff done. The push is if you're pushing something so hard that you want it to happen so bad that it actually may fail because you put too much push and you were not ready to get there.
Oh, interesting. Can you explain a little bit more on that? Because that's,
Yeah.
pretty unique. I don't think I've heard that, like, someone
Yeah.
said that before.
So, essentially, what the way I look at it, and this is for me and me only,
Mhm.
is that if I'm trying to force something to happen, it's not going to happen.
Mm,
You're basically putting yourself in a position where I'm a firm believer where things happen when they need to happen, and that's played out multiple times over the past 6 to 8 months. There's events where people I present out a quote and they say, "Oh, you're a little too expensive." Well, that's the thing is the breakdown behind it. People don't look at that. They see the day of the event, what's going on the table, and that's it. You know,
mhm,
but my head, it's all right. I accept that fact that I'm too expensive or a little more on the higher end of the money scale, but the quality of food I'm bringing is very high. But I'm also going to accept the fact that if this event's not meant to happen, it's not meant to happen. I'm not going to lower my standard of what I bring to the table to hit a price point because then I'm really not valuing what I'm putting out. It becomes that whole mindset of would if you put something on a plate, would you eat it? And if I'm not willing to get behind the brand or the product I'm putting out, then I cannot me personally I cannot do that. So that kind of funnels into everything. It's if you're pushing something that's not meant to happen, it's not going to happen. You know,
yeah,
the hustle alone, you could hustle all day long. If you got the mindset for a hustler, you're going to do it. And that's a very rare thing to have now. I've learned over the past 2 years that I've been basically pushing Pork and Delicious for the most part is that if you don't have drive, the hustle is not going to be behind it. It's not you can't learn it. It's not like you wake up and all of a sudden you got hustle and drive. You either have it, you don't, and you can read it right off the bat. There's a lot of people out there that I've and this is not to bash anybody or say anything, but a lot of people say they have a hustle, and I look at them and I go, I don't think you do. You just want the notoriety, and that there's a difference there. You know, I'm willing to stay up for 3 days just to get something done because I have to get it done because I committed to somebody to bring an experience to them. You know, you sleep. That's what coffee's for. Sleep. I'll sleep after the event. But it's funny because me and Matt, when we were doing the last event, we talked about it, and he's like, "You like to stress yourself out." I'm like, "Well, it's not really stress. It's just more like I want it to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect in my mind." And I think we might have talked about it on the last podcast where if I put something on a plate and I don't like it, or then I'll redo it over and over again. Meanwhile, it'll still be beautiful at the first time I do it, and that to me is passion. You have to have passion for what you do. And,
yeah.
leading off of all that, where you come back to it is like I said, accepting that certain things happen when they happen.
Yeah, and I love that too because you're speaking to holding yourself to a certain standard, but then
Hmm.
also establishing boundaries. So, like, yeah, you do know you do have to push for certain times. Like, yeah, if you got to work hard to get an assignment done, or you're trying to make a certain amount of sales for a deadline, like you got to be able to crank it into another gear to make sure that it
Hmm.
gets done and deliver the product, the service, whatever it is, at the standard that you hold yourself to, and not really sacrificing or bending the standard to anything else. And I like it too
Exactly.
because you know where the boundary is afterwards. You said like, yeah, you'll sleep after the event. And I
Hmm.
remember back when I was like grinding like 70 plus hours a week, there was no sleep. It was just I'm gonna keep pushing, and then next week I'm gonna keep pushing, and then the following week I'm gonna keep pushing more, and I'm just not gonna sleep ever because it was
Hmm.
just an endless like cycle of people and sessions and such. So
Well,
that's wise.
and like going back to that, I mean, like I'm willing to put in the time any day, but like when it comes down to it, is me pushing myself to a limit where I break is not going to make my future happen any faster. There's a time frame for everything. It's just whether you're around the right people, you're going to the right clientele. It's really like you said, it's boundaries. Boundaries in your business is just as big as boundaries in your personal life.
And it's something important to kind of comment there on that. Like, yeah, things will happen when they're meant to happen. But if you're not prepared and if you're not holding yourself to that standard and you don't have that identity and value for yourself, then when the opportunity does come, it's just going to go right past you because you're not prepped and ready for it. So
No,
I think you hit the head on the hammer, or hit the nail on the head,
nail
or
on the head.
whatever the saying is.
I got you.
But I think, yeah, that was like perfectly said there. Nice. So I'm excited because I'm seeing a lot of different events all the time. I'm curious to hear, how are you getting all of these different events and things going on? Because it seems like every day social media, you guys are doing something new. I just recently saw something else that looked pretty sweet that you guys were doing. So where are you? What kind of systems are you doing to get these connections and set these opportunities up?
So, I mean, honestly, if I'm being fully transparent, a lot of it's word of mouth. Um, the only marketing I do is social media. So I'm posting on Instagram, I'm posting on Facebook, I'm posting on TikTok once in a while. I barely use TikTok. I probably should utilize it more because everybody's on TikTok. I'm still learning TikTok. I don't
Not
get it.
me.
I have a TikTok, but I don't think I posted anything on it in a while. But it's a lot of word of mouth, like a lot of like referrals. Um, and that's one of the biggest ones. And then like I did, like the influencer dinner I did, that was fully paid for by me personally to get this event, like get the ball rolling. So you know, they say spend money to make money. I agree with that to an extent. Like for example, and I know this is kind of a plug in the middle of the podcast, but my November 2nd dinner, right, that I'm doing is in collaboration with Trips Restaurant in Stanford. And, we came to an understanding that we'll do a 7 course meal. 4 courses will be me, 3 courses will be them. And to me, that gets me a whole other realm of clientele. It may not be fully my event, but we're forecasting it to be 30 plus tickets sold. We're on track for that. And I mean, it's not a cheap dinner, but and I'm going to explain this on a podcast so people can understand it because people see that number of $300 for a 7 course dinner, and I'm going to break it down. Labor up to $300 is nothing. 2 days of prep plus the 7 courses plus alcohol pairing. If you think about that, when you go to a dinner, if you got set one course with one alcohol pairing, what would you say it costs?
Jeez, dude, from where it seems like everywhere around here, like Victoria and I go out, like have one drink, maybe an appetizer and an entree. Dude, we're spending like anywhere from 2 to $500 depending on where we're going.
So if you break that down over 7 times, I mean, at
Yeah.
$300 is nothing for that because I mean, granted, it's not a huge portion, but you know, it's the value and the understanding. Like I'm buying stuff sourced from Connecticut and or the tri-state area. So if I have to, I'll go to a farm in upstate New York if I have to find something the right way. I'm not buying, Joe Schmo's chicken from Restaurant Depot. That's not what I'm doing. Um,
You don't use Joe Schmo's chicken?
no, no, Joe Schmo's chicken's not on the menu. But like for example, with that influencer dinner, when you were there, you saw the value. I went to Henny Penny Farms in Ridgefield, and they actually had lambs that they butchered there on site, and that's what we brought to the table there. I think it's a whole nother realm, and I think I got a little off topic. I'll be honest.
No. I mean, so it's like, it's you're going out, you're connecting with people, collaborating with other like organizations. And I think that's important too, because when I'm working with clients and we get into like principle number 6, all about opportunity creation, one of the steps in that is about collaborating, but then also collaborating often. And then how to
Hmm.
set up a good collaboration on really understanding the commitments on all the parties at play. What's the capacity? What's the like time frame and everything, and then also like how do you know it was a successful collaboration? Like you got to know a
It's
lot of
true.
these things and you got to think about that ahead of time before you propose an idea of a collaboration with somebody, because
It's very
people
true.
think like instant, like people are like, I know for a fact, at least in the personal training and strength and conditioning realm, people were very afraid to let other people you like work with their clients or even talk to their clients or even look at their clients.
Well, and it comes down to trust. That's one of the biggest things, right? So I've been talking with two chefs. The one that works with me from her name, the Chris Snyder girl, who has her own thing, you know. But and then I also talked to this kid that I know who I believe his Instagram is Muddy Eats. Um, he's a chef, personal chef, and private chef as well. We talk all the time because comes down to like if I can't do something, I'm happy to work with somebody. I'm happy to pass the event on. If I can't do it or if it's not in my realm of what I want to do, somebody else be my guest. The problem is everybody's so afraid to cross utilize and or help each other. It comes down, and I hate to use this word, but it comes down a lot to ego and selfishness for a lot of people because they'll be like, I don't want to give that person the business because then I'm helping them. It's like, why not help that next person?
Yeah.
I mean, that's that. Like I said, the culture of Fork and Delicious is to change the world one plate at a time. It doesn't mean that I have to do it by myself.
Yo, what's up? Sorry for interrupting. It's me, Rob. If you've been listening and thinking, man, I just know I'm capable of so much more, but something's just really not clicking, well, I've got something for you. It's called the Prime Performance Personality Quiz. And in just a few minutes, you'll uncover what's actually slowing you down. So, whether it's a mindset block, energy drain, or a lack of clarity, this quiz is going to give you specific insights to help you build momentum again. Again, this quiz is free, fast, and honestly, freakishly accurate. So take it now over at survivingthesidehustle.com/quiz and stop spinning, start winning today. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think I shared, I don't know if I've ever actually shared it with you, but when I first moved to the building, my apartment that I'm living in, I put it out on the post on the community wall. And I asked, is there any like personal trainers in the building? Two people messaged me and one other woman had messaged me. And once I had met up and connected with them, the first two people, they were like, oh, well, if you're a personal trainer, why are you asking for a personal trainer? Like, I'm not working with you. And they wouldn't even listen to what I had asked. But the third person, the woman, she sat down and actually sat with me and I was like, hey, like I'm looking for other trainers because I want to do an event. I want to bring the other residents in. I'll talk about either nutrition or movement stuff or stretches, mobility, whatever it may be. And then you pick another topic and you can talk on it. That way we bring a crowd in. And then from there, we both deliver a good service or an experience. And then from there, it's okay, now you can go try to sell to whoever you want and I'll do the same thing.
Exactly. I mean, it's about not just collaborating, but it's about how do I use this word? Entrusting the group as a whole. The community. There's a chef community that of private chefs that just don't mess with each other, and I don't understand it because they want all that comes down to the greed. Everybody wants, right? But for me, I hustle hard enough. I might as well help somebody out if I don't need the event or if I can't do the event, I might as well help another chef. You know, I'm all about brands. Like I love Muddy Eats brand. I love the La Coke one. Like it's they're great. They're great people, and I believe in them. So I'm obviously not going to shut them out. Obviously there's some people you just don't want to work with, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. There you go. Um, Sweet. Well, so I'm interested though, because so we kind of talked about how you're starting to get more of these opportunities and how you're collaborating with more people. Um, how do you get a little bit into like the tactical here? How do you develop better relationships with these people? So either the people you're collaborating with or the customers yourself. Like, how do you go and connect with it? Because I know a lot of people listening here go to a lot of different networking events and struggling to develop relationships with either customers or potential leads or et cetera down the road. So what's specifically to you, how do you deepen your connections and relationships?
So personally, what I do, I don't like. I'm not a big fan of other people reaching out on behalf of somebody. So I'll set up a coffee date. Like, let's meet up, let's have a conversation. Or if you can't, let's have a conversation on the phone. And I'm transparent and honest on everything. I talk the same way I talk to anybody else. Same way if we were sitting there at one of those network events, how we talk, I talk to my clients. And, I think being real and honest with everybody and being transparent and not trying to sell yourself as something you're not helps deepen those. Because I have had a lot of conversations, and I hate to say this, that are very surface level and meaningless with people that want to collab, and those are the kind of people I probably won't. But if you tell me, hey, listen, and I'm going to curse right now. My business is fucking struggling, and I just want to know your take on it, or if we could do something together. I'm be like, hell yes, let's do something, because you know what, you're being real with me. You're not going to be like, everything's copacetic, I'm doing great. All right, cool. Then you don't need me around. Like, that's fine. We can keep say hi and keep moving. I'm not a huge proponent. I personally don't go to a lot of the social things. I mean, I've been to a couple with you and Adam and all them, but I mean, I don't. My time, I feel like it's more worth if I'm out talking to people personally. Like, I literally, so I did a wedding event for in Torrington, and I had conversations almost every day with them. Eventually, yes, when it gets to the point where I probably won't be able to do that with everybody, but I'm gonna sure as hell have somebody to my right that can do the exact same conversations. And if I need to step in, I'll have a conversation with them. Absolutely, I don't mind. I like bringing that personal aspect because I want the people who are hiring me to know who I am. They don't need to, like, you could hide behind a brand name. Like, I could hide behind a Fork and Delicious name any day. But who is that person? And people love to know the fact that, like, I'm trying to grow, I'm trying to build, I'm trying to be this person, I'm trying to get to this point. Like, the guy that I did the dinner for, that wedding for, has been hugely awesome. He checks in now daily, almost daily, every other, like, probably like maybe probably like once every 3 days. He'll be like, how's everything going? I'm like, it's great, man. How are you? You know, Text me. I don't care. As you're a client, I'll answer. It's you're not. They're not just a client. They're buying a service from you, but they're buying the service from you because they believe in you, not because they believe in just your brand or what you're putting on a plate. Or if you're like, for you, a personal trainer, you're like, Rob, the reason why I mess with you so much is because I like you as a person. I trust you as a person. I know you as a person. You know, um, and that's huge to me. I think that brings a personal touch, because when it comes down to having my restaurant, I want somebody up front who will do research on the people that are coming in that night and know little tricks on them. Like,
Mm.
they put a birthday. All right, well, reach out, call them and say, hey, where was your first dinner, like, or something like that. And then we'll build a little experience about it, or give them a card that says, hey, we know you met at this place. You know, here's a little dessert. Say they met in France. Here's a croissant. You know what I mean, or something. I don't know. But those attention to details and personalizing everything makes you more valuable than anything else. Fork and Delicious could not matter if I didn't pay attention to what everybody else wanted. I'm not going to tell you that your opinion doesn't matter ever, because you're not just a client, you are a person of value. You're investing in me and I'm investing in something back to you.
Wow. Yeah, you showed a good amount of value there. You talked about how it's important to be authentically yourself,
Hmm.
and not afraid to be vulnerable, and really making sure that you're like dialing in on the small little details. And dude, I think that's super important to kind of point out, because so many times you see people who are just like waiting to say whatever they need to say next, and like barely ever listen. And
That active listening is the biggest part about being a good business owner and or boss and or coworker.
yeah, and even just like networking too, because I'm thinking about it through like the networking standpoint. Like, nobody's authentic. They just come to these events trying to sell everything, and they're not vulnerable, because their businesses are probably struggling if they're spending time at these networking events. Not
Hmm.
struggling, but they're probably in a growing period. And but they're acting like everything's great and everything blah blah blah, and they don't want to admit that, like, hey, maybe they are having some difficulty with certain things. And then they don't pay attention to any of the details as well. They're
Hmm.
just like, yeah, well, I don't remember anything you just said. I don't remember your name, but here, try to buy my product.
That's the problem, is that if you go into this knowing that you need to build and get connections, you need to listen to what's being said. You got to be open minded and willing. You have to know that you need to learn. And I'm never going to know everything. I'm still learning a lot, but I'm willing to listen to get to those steps. And that's the biggest thing. Like, I feel like watching so many businesses and smaller businesses and people that I've met over this period of time that I've been, actively engaging in these social events, is like, everything's surface level. And I want to get down to the nitty gritty. I want to know what you're struggling with, and then I'll tell you what I'm struggling with, and let's try to come up with a game plan. And or how can you help me in a way where it benefits both of us, but also does not sacrifice the quality and the understanding of what we are as people.
Yeah, man, that's powerful stuff, dude. Um, yeah, so I know you got events coming up, and I think by the time this episode airs, I think we'll be past that that
Hmm.
one that's coming up. But on the further horizon, what else are we excited to look forward to? Is that food truck kind of thing? Is that coming up anytime soon, or is that still like down the road a bit, or like what are you focusing on right now? Just more of the events?
Right, right now, I'm focusing on restaurant collaborations, pop-ups, and the private chef's table dinners at people's houses. I feel like that's a value that's not being utilized enough by people. They just want to book catering, and to me, you're paying for the catering aspect, but you can pay the same money for a 10-person, 12-person private dinner where you're getting 5 courses, and that value is way higher to me. And I feel like people just see the numbers like we were talking about earlier, but you're getting authentically the chef in front of you. That's why I'm doing more of these pop-ups and these collaboration dinners with restaurants, because I want people to see what it's like to go to one of these things, but you imagine having it at your house. And if they really want to try it, next time I post tickets for a sale, come in or reach out. You know, um, it's one of those things that, like, it's underutilized, and I would love to build it more, but obviously it's a special demographic essentially that wants to do those things. You got to be a foodie. You got to be able to afford it. I mean, I'm willing to work with some people, but, like, food's expensive, and I mean, and that's the realest part about this. Is that the food scene is forever changing. Ups, highs, lows. Beef prices are about to shoot up by like 180% because they lost like 70% of the cow um, slaughter for this year. So when I have to say, oh, excuse me, the fillet is this expensive, so we're gonna have to raise the price of this dish by, like, I don't know, 26%. It's just what it is, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, like, the catering, that does things. I think I'm also probably gonna in talks to doing a multi collaboration dinner with two different restaurant groups, so that could be good. And then I'm also talking about doing a supper club with another brand. So if that happens, I'll be sharing that, but I don't want to share too many details because it's all in the works. But there's a lot of good things in the works, and I'm very blessed, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for where I'm at and where it's heading. And I'm grateful for the right people that are around me, more than they probably even know. I tell a lot of people every day, I love you for this, thank you so much. But I can say it until I'm blue in the face, but it's still good. It's still, I need them to always know that I love them, and they do wonders for what we're doing. But one of the biggest things that I want to put together over the next few months, probably closer to like spring, is I want to do a full catering experience slash supper club thing. So everybody donates X amount of dollars. It'll be an open buffet, and 100% of the proceeds, like the profit line, will be donated to charities of choices. So
Wow.
because, like I said, changing the world one plate at a time doesn't mean just an experience. It means the people that are of your communities, the people that are struggling. I've been a big proponent on. I don't talk about stuff on social media. I don't do that. But when it comes down to these podcasts, I want to help the next person, regardless of who you are. Everybody means something to everybody. And being able to use my platform and or the money that I have to donate to help that, I would in a heartbeat. Shit. I wish I was rich because I would like to help everybody, but that's not how this works. So
Yeah, unfortunately, right. Um, well, so that's really awesome. So I'm looking forward to all those events that are kind of coming up there, and I want to pull it back for a second there because you had mentioned about the prices of things kind of going up and changing, and how it's kind of like an ever changing environment. Uh, how do you handle that? How do you plan for stuff and then like all of a sudden it's like, oh great, egg prices are through the roof. Like, oh, how do I do that? Like, how did you how do you how
you
do you prepare for stuff like that?
and it kind of happened with the wedding. So one of the things that I was using was short rib, and that price shot up. I mean, we used 55 pounds of short ribs, which cost like $680 or something like that. And originally, short rib at that weight was around $400 when we quoted them. But unfortunately, that's the belly of the beast in this industry. Once you sign a quote, I'm not changing your price. I'm eating it. I'll eat that number. But yeah, it's just kind of how it has to happen. Like, it's not like I have a freestanding restaurant where I can, it's like, if something changes one day, I could change the price the next day. It's
Mhm.
you're this is how it works. I mean, obviously you're going to tailor your prices later on, but, like, if I have a quote signed 2 months before and the price has changed within those 2 months, like it's what it is, man.
Jeez,
It's just, and I'm
that's
not one to be
tough.
like, I'm not one to be like, for example, the only time I probably do it is if something jumped up like 300% and we went from like a $200 item to $1,000 item. We're gonna have a conversation, obviously. But
Yeah.
even then, it's like I don't feel like I should do that because I'm still gonna be okay in the end, and this is an experience for you, you know. But I mean, I can't speak for that because that hasn't happened yet. But yeah, basically, you're tied in once you're tied in, and that's the way I look at it. You know, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not my fault that the price has changed.
Hmm. Yeah, it's good to hear that because I know a lot of people that I work with, there's things that go wrong all the time. Like technology
Hmm.
goes out, travel, flights are delayed, can't deliver a speech on time, or like products or shipping. Like there's always something going wrong in the
Hmm.
entrepreneurial world. And then I see a lot of people who kind of bug out when one thing sets them off and then they can't get themselves back onto it and get back on track. And I think hearing what you're saying there is like, yeah, you gotta like stick to it. You gotta be open to having a conversation when things do need to change, and you have to have that confidence and be able to have those difficult conversations. So I think that's really important to know.
The two words that I use a lot is acceptance and adaptability. Those are crucial when you're running a business. I have to be willing to accept the fact that anything can go wrong at any time, and have to have the adaptability to overcome, problem solve, and figure out. And and if I can't, I have to also go back to acceptance because I don't have control of that situation in the end either way.
Mm,
It's not like I'm
yeah.
sitting here butchering the beef and growing it myself.
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe one day. Who knows? I don't know if I'll be into the butchering thing because I don't. But maybe the ultimate goal. I want to have a farm that's fully sustainable on my own and do dinners there.
Ah, I got to introduce you to a buddy of mine, and good Larry Dix. I don't know if you've ever met him, but he's a person I feel like you should connect with. And Larry, if you're listening to this, man, you gotta talk to Chef Ben over here. Connect with
Le-
him.
Larry, let's have a conversation, man.
Well, Ben, man, I'm so glad we were able to get this back on and we were able to get this episode recorded. I'm excited. I love seeing all the different things that you're doing, and I appreciate you taking the time coming on today. I know you got like your Instagrams being like uploaded every day. You got different things going on. So, where's the easiest place for people to follow you and stay up to date with the new events and the new additions to the business?
So reaching out through Instagram and or following on Instagram, that's like the biggest line I have right now, which is chef underscore Benjamin underscore LaRose. I don't know if we'll put a little blurb underneath it because that's a long one. But then there's also it's underscore forkin delicious. Those are the two. You reach out, you can have a conversation with me any day. I'm open. You guys heard me talk about it. I mean it. So if you ever have questions about anything, even if it's cooking questions, feel free to reach out, you know, or if you want to get involved somehow.
There you go, guys. Make sure you send him a follow and shoot him a message when you get an opportunity. All about feedback around here too. So let me know what you
Hmm.
thought about the episode and what you'd like to see more of. So Chef Ben, dude, again, thank you so much. I appreciate this. Before we sign off and let it go, pass you the ball. Final words. Anything left unsaid on this episode that you'd like to share with the audience?
Nah, just keep pushing. Actually, don't push. Accept, understand, and keep hustling. That's it. Yeah, you know, like, and I'll go back to what I said the first time. The hustle doesn't sleep. So just keep going.
Got it. You heard it. There you go, guys. Another great episode with Chef Ben. Again, thank you, and we'll have to have you back for a third episode, man.
Let me know when, man. I'm around.
All right. Peace, 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 guys. That's it for today. And that's it for this episode of Surviving the Side Hustle. If you found this valuable, the best way to support the show is to rate and review on Apple or Spotify. It helps get the show in front of more driven individuals just like you, and it helps them discover the tools to get unstuck, break through burnout, and build something real. And you can always connect deeper with me, our guests, or grab free resources at survivingthesidehustle.com/Rob. Whether it's a strategy call, the Prime Performance Personality Quiz, some of our products, or just to check out our free content library. Connect with us over at survivingthesidehustle.com/Rob. And hey, Remember this: you weren't meant to just grind, you were built to grow. So stay conscious, stay committed, and keep showing up. Peace, guys.